We're coming in hot with inspiring guests, witty banter, and colorful commentary for today's veterans and military community. This is the Tango Alpha Lima podcast.
They call me crazy cause I'm facing all my giants. They try to scare me into thinking I can fight it. They tell me I should never even think of trying. But that's just me, I'm gonna live out in defiance.
Birthday, dear America. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, America. You are looking good for your age of country, my friends. And here we are celebrating together. Just myself and OGAG, Ashley Marie Gorbulja.
What's
and
up?
Behind the scenes, maybe she's baking a cake. I don't know what she's doing back there. Is super producer Holly K. Soria. Happy birthday, Ashley. You American, you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure and an honor. Really should be thanking my parents. Made in America all day, baby.
Made in America. Made in Ohio, right?
Yes.
Yes.
My claim to Midwestern.
So it's awesome. I love that. I love when our show drops and it's synced up with a holiday like this. I mean, I apologize, America, that you had to hear me sing, but it was all from here. I mean, here and deeper in the heart. Oh, I forgot not everybody watches. I was holding up my USA shirt and the most America hat I could find. It's camel on top, flag on the bill. I mean, let's see where it's made. Let's make sure. Myanmar. So the hat was made. This hat was made in Myanmar. So there you go. It's the almost most American hat I could find. All right. Maybe I would have done better if I had gone to a great school. And I think you have a story about one that turned out to not be so great. Right, Ash?
Yeah, we're about to get into it. So, all right. Former CEO of a technical school receives 5-year sentence in large post 9/11 GI Bill fraud case, according to military.com. The former head of the California Technical School has been sentenced 5 years. It's by far the largest post 9/11 GI Bill fraud case to date investigated by the Department of Veteran Affairs and Justice Department. Justice officials announced that Michael Broadstock, founder and CEO at California Technical Academy, or CTA, falsified enrollment numbers and course completion records, impersonated students, and provided investigators with fake phone numbers for veteran students, so regulators could not contact them about their studies. Yeah, that's odd. So the fraud resulted in a loss of, make sure y'all sit down, nearly $105 million in government funds. Eesh. So over the decade, the school received more than $32 million in tuition payments for 1,700 odd some folks enrolled student veterans, right? Or sorry, I don't know why I said that twice. Student veterans on the brain. While veterans enrolled in CTA's VA-approved courses received more than $72 million in education-related benefits, such as housing, book fees, and other compensation. Prosecutors presented evidence that the top school officials, Mike Broadstock. I know there's no R. Words are hard. I'm having a hard time today. Bostick. Eric Bostick. You know what? Eric B. Not my friend right now. I don't like you. You're doing some shady stuff, my dear. So, and a gentleman by the name of Philip Abad worked in concert to conceal the fraud, which involved falsifying information to the VA to exaggerate the number of students taking classes. So moving forward, the trio, there's another, right? Faked veterans' contact information. They were using burner cell phones when contacted by VA auditors, according to Justice Department. Through June 2022, Eric B. and his co-conspirators were made false and fraudulent representations to the VA regarding, among other things, veteran enrollment and approved courses of study, class attendance, and grades. The Justice Department officially wrote in the press release. So Eric B. Brostock and got it. And his co-conspirators. No, dang it. I'm trying so hard, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying so hard today. But anyway, Eric B. and the co-conspirators also falsified course completion records to make it appear as if I can't. This is too much. Enrolled veterans completed their programs and the fact that they had not. So this for-profit school is a member of the California Association of Private Post-Secondary Schools. Provided training in computer programming and certifications. It closed a year ago, 3 months before Eric B. and his accomplices pleaded guilty for fraud. So it's 5 years is the maximum sentence for the defendant that could have been received. I don't know. It seems a bit odd to me, but there will be probably, I can't, it's too much.
I know people in the service who misappropriated a pen that got more harsh treatment, like an ink pen. Wait, you took that ink pen home? 1,000 push-ups. Anyway, so I'm confused now about what they didn't cover. What about the ones that actually did show up and had and did quote unquote graduate? Are their degrees worth anything?
Probably not.
Or they're going to have to at least be under scrutiny.
So there's levels of certification, and that has to be overseen by the state. So any of the state commissions that are within the higher ed sphere, and I don't know the names of said entities, but
they were accredited when
they
they
were
doing
accredited.
So the students didn't have control over that.
Right. So what will likely have to happen is some sort of policy enactment for those particular students so that their stuff will transfer over either to another institution or their degrees are held.
That's the part of the story that's missing. Also, the other part of the story that's missing is if you went there and you used your benefits, can you recycle those benefits to go somewhere legitimate? And we can't answer that question, obviously. That's going to be for the VA or maybe legislators to have to kind of fix. But this is all kinds of crazy. And it's really weird because I didn't even get in.
Okay. I'm gonna avoid that landmine, but I will say you brought up an excellent point. What will be the conditions in which the students will either have their degrees hold their credibility, they will be able to seek other opportunities because they were taken advantage of fraudulently, like they didn't know, right? And then there's also the piece where they were falsifying records. So there's going to have to be an entire, I know they're investigating, right? But there needs to be a more in-depth look on who legitimately got their degrees and certificates, who transferred out and where are they now, right? Like there's so many different components to that in order to reinstate benefits. So that's a huge obstacle, not impossible based on some of the numbers they're saying in the enrollment, but they're going to need someone real detail oriented. So
that stuff is,
it's muddy. It's murky.
It's crazy. If you think about it, it's over 100 million. I forgot the number. So they made 5 years, right? So that's that's worth a couple $100,000 a year in prison they're making after fraudulating. I just made up a word. Fraudulating all that revenue. You know who got a better education? Well, you don't know him yet, but you're about to. Because today we're going to be joined by retired Marine Colonel Eric Ferris Buer, who flew attack helicopters during multiple missions, including a 2003 mission with Amphibious Task Force East during Operation Iraqi Freedom. They gave him the inspiration for his first book, Ghosts of Baghdad. We're going to be back with Colonel Buer to talk about his book and more right after the break.
The American Legion is raising awareness about PTSD and veteran suicide by offering hope, camaraderie, and support.
Be the one to help end veteran suicide.
The goal of the American Legion's Be the One campaign is to destigmatize asking for mental health support.
Be the one to ask a veteran in your life how they're doing.
Be the one who saves one veteran.
Go to betheone.org and help the American Legion end veteran suicide.
Will you be the one?
Welcome back. I hope you had some birthday cake, America, because we have a present for you. We have Mr. Colonel Retired Eric Buer here with us today. Eric, welcome to the Tango Alpha Lima podcast experience, and always Semper Fi.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Ashley. Great to be here. Appreciate it.
But what we normally do is we start with Ashley gets the first question. She gets the real tough stuff out of the way. And then I come in and make you feel welcome and warm because, you know, that's what we Marines do. And since that's what we normally do, we'll just keep doing it as I hear in my post because we've always done it this way and it seems to work. All right, go ahead, Ashley.
Okay. Welcome to the show, Eric. We'll get started with the first question. So Iraq is considered one of the world's most dangerous airspaces. Can you tell us a little bit about what it was like flying into that area in relation to your book, Inspiration?
Okay, yeah, thanks. Well, it was unknown. It was a great unknown to all of us. We had ideas about what the Iraqi air defenses were like, what the Iraqi, ground defenses were like. It was really the great unknown. So we did a lot of preparation, a lot of study, a lot of map study, as any military unit would do. But I tell you what, it really didn't prepare us for what was the opening night of the war, which was really dealing with some bad weather, a lot of environmentals out there, and of course dealing with the unknown of what the enemy was planning on doing. So it made it real challenging for us.
What's interesting is a little follow-up because you see these movies like Top Gun, it's like 5% preparation, you said studying and all that, and 90% pure adrenaline action. So that's not an accurate depiction, I'm assuming.
Jeff, so I guess early on it was a lot of preparation, like everything. Prep, train. You get it as a Marine, you train and you overtrain. And that really served us well to be able to handle a lot of the kind of audibles and a lot of audibles that were required for us on the opening night. But after the opening night and subsequently, we'd go into pretty sustained flying. We'd fly 8, 10, 12 hours a night in my case. And so it kind of flip-flopped. So you hope your training and you knew your training would get you through it. And then you relied on that training to sustain you for the weeks and months to come.
All right. So so there is some truth in film, but not too much. And
no, we don't. They'll kick the tires, light the fires, hop in the cockpit, and you off you go. Is not necessarily how things get done efficiently.
Right. All right. So you've flown these missions, and it's probably giving away some chapters. But is there a mission that pops in your mind as the most memorable, good or bad?
Oh boy, there's a lot of bad and there's a lot of mistakes that, by the grace of God and the support of my co-pilot and our crews that we got ourselves through. One day in particular, I talk about, it was Tuesday and it was just a Tuesday, just another Tuesday. It was the 1st of April and we'd been there for a while. And, just a lot of things had gone wrong that entire day. We'd come under mortar fire. My wingman had broken down, and the night went on. We flew a long night, but I guess that there's no real deep story there. There is so much to it. I really couldn't describe it to you in a very short period of time. But what we learned at the end of it is that we are pretty resilient, and that our training worked. That we can trust in ourselves. We can trust in our co-pilot and crews. We can trust in our wingman, and that we were gonna live to fight another day. And I give a talk sometimes, just another Tuesday, because it's a Tuesday afternoon when you're least prepared. It's going to be demanded of you that you're most prepared. And so that really strikes me. That day strikes me. Certainly other days and missions that were more challenging, just from a threat perspective, but just from a kind of a takeaway, that's really what jumps out at me.
So, Eric, I'm hearing a lot of the kind of the values, right, of the training, the mission, right? Everything needs to be aligned, this trifecta to make the day go smoothly. You have good days and you have bad days. Could you talk a little bit more about the assignments or, the things that you endured that gave you a sense of duty, service, and shared sacrifice?
So you mean prior to this or during this?
Either. I think from a resiliency standpoint, we tend to always focus on the military component, which we are today, right? But I also believe that there's a lot of things that happen to us personally that help shape us to become who we are, right? Like the saying is, I want to be like the best version of me when I grow up, right? So maybe there's a few parallels there. I'd be happy to hear both if you're willing to entertain my question.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. It's a really complex question. I mean, the short answer for me is that, someone talked to me about becoming a Marine, and I went to officer candidate school at the ripe old age of 19. And when you walk through that door, it's a different world. Jeff knows it. I mean, there's people that will demand things of you that you never thought you could potentially do, and those are usually very angry-looking Marine gunnery sergeants that. But you quickly realize that you're part of something bigger than yourself. You're part of this organization. They demand standards. They demand ethical conduct. They demand integrity in everything you do, and they demand high levels of training. So I learned that as a very young, in this case, officer candidate. And then when you accept a commission in the Marine Corps, you're held to that standard, and you're around very similar people that have accepted that same challenge. And then as I mature a little bit I went into aviation. Aviation has that same level of intensity. It's demanded every day of you. There's no off days in aviation. You can't call in a flight. You can't call in a night flight. You have to be ready to execute. You have to be ready to perform. So by the time 2003 rolls around, I'm 36. I'm married. I got 4 kids. I got a lot of responsibilities. But I also have a lot of responsibilities to the Marines that are with me. And so probably to answer your question, but not as well as I probably should, it was for me 15 years of being a Marine officer that trained me and prepared me for those moments. And you hope you can, find a way to be successful and not let the people around you down.
I concur. I think service is a fantastic way to continue to measure yourself every day, right? Those values and virtues that stick with you. And I'm sure that even now, Eric, you're doing amazing things because of the discipline and all of the other skill set that you have in that 15 years as being an officer. And I've always believed that people come first, right? People first always. And when we take care of the individual, we take care of our Marines, right? Our soldiers, our airmen, et cetera. We lead with purpose and distinction. So it's a great answer.
Oh, thank you.
I thought I'll throw in sailors
And guardians and
so
coasties.
that we don't get angry mail about leaving people out.
Those are just my 3 defaults. Okay.
You
Those are
said
the people I
3,
work
so
with the most.
You said 3, so I figured I would even them out. Now, Eric, when you talk about resiliency, it does, and as Ashley mentioned earlier, we do speak about it in the context of the military a lot, but I do think there's a lot of lessons to be learned there as people transition out of the military as well, because sometimes that's the most taxing mission they've ever handled, mostly because a lot of them treat it as a sorry, I should use a catchphrase of your branch. They treat it as being an army of one instead of having the camaraderie and support of others. And I'll just throw in, this is shameless and cheesy, but to me, that's the biggest advantage of being in the American Legion. You are not alone in this. And there are other organizations I've heard, but I've chosen this one. So resiliency is huge, and I'm glad to hear you speak about it. Hopefully, it will inspire someone out there to resuscitate the resiliency that they had to survive in the military and use it to survive in the civilian world. I'm supposed to have had a question at the end of that, but I don't. If you if you want to respond to that, that's fine, or I can move on to the question.
No, I think what you're doing is incredibly important. Our veterans, serving our veterans, never forgetting our veterans is one of the most critical missions we can do. It's one of the most critical things I can do now. In business, I look to hire veterans whenever, wherever, and however I possibly can. It doesn't matter where they came from. It doesn't matter how they served, where they served. It's just important to know that, number one, they're not alone. And number two, that they're always welcomed, and all their skill sets and everything they've learned is valued, and we care. In business, you can only do that so much, but it's a focus for me. It's a focus for everything I look at when we look to hire folks, and we look to even the folks that we serve and the businesses we join and team with. Veteran networks are invaluable to all of us. So I appreciate what you guys do. Just know that out here I'm in Pensacola, Florida, so a very veteran friendly area. A lot of young soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines around here, and Coast Guard ships in our bay, and we love them. And it's refreshing to see them in and about town, and it's just it's great to have them as part of the fabric of our society here.
Well, thank you for doing all that you do. And speaking of what you do or have done, you completed it. It's just another boom, 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 notch in your belt of awesome. So you wrote this book called Ghosts of Baghdad. Can you tell us what inspired you to take on a task like that?
Yeah, so I'd thought about this for a long time. It'd been in my brain after my first tour there, and I would go on to do several more tours there. And I'd stayed in close contact with a bunch of my friends that we'd served together here. And so I talked to some, and then I said, I'm going to write a book about this. And I'm going to open a door that's an otherwise closed door and let you step through that door, hop in our cockpit, and just see what we did. In this case, for about 27 days. You get the experience to ride along with us. And some of it's, as Jimmy Buffett said, some of it's magic and some of it's tragic. And that's just the truth. It's unvarnished. There's no axes to grind. There's no wrongs I'm here to right. You just get an opportunity to spend time with us. And it's a story that's, I think, timeless. And it represents every veteran who served. And selfishly, it gave me hundreds of hours to reconnect with old friends. My squadron commander, my air group commander, folks that want to become general officers, folks that are still serving now, and sergeants majors and first sergeants. Sit down and spend hundreds of hours talking to them and saying, here's what I'm saying, and let them read what I'm writing and say, I think it more happened this way. I said, okay, that's, so that's selfishly, I had a great experience doing that, but it's not my story. You see the world through my lens, but it's their story. And there's not a lot of I's and me's in here. Yes, it's my cockpit, but you get a chance to experience what we do, what other folks do, what Marines on the ground have seen and do. So I think that's important. I think it's impactful.
All right. So I'm looking forward to this book. But Ashley.
So I just want to recap, because I was looking at your bio, Eric, and so, excuse me. There it is. I pulled up a bunch of notes. You'll have to forgive me here. But I just want to clarify. So you were flying helicopters, correct? Or because I know that you're doing
flying attack helicopters. Yeah, I was a Marine.
Okay.
I was a major. I was a flight lead, flying Cobras, attack helicopters. And the book starts the opening out of the war. We go over the berm, and we're doing our mission on the opening night. Okay.
So I just wanted to clarify that, because I know as I read your bio, aviation, there's, you're either you're vertical, you're doing fixed wing, So I'm just going to clarify for listeners, but when you look back on your experiences serving in global conflicts, which I was looking at your bio, Somalia, Bosnia, Iraq, Afghanistan, Persian Gulf. I mean, you've done an exceptional amount of things. How does this color your opinion of what the United States role is in the Ukraine war, or what the Ukraine war should be in the United States role in Ukraine war should be? There we go. Words.
Yeah. Well, it's complex. It's very complex. You know, we're a member of NATO. We support the alliance. We've been one of the greatest participants and supporters of the alliance since the Second World War. We have a responsibility to our NATO partners. Ukraine has been a great partner for us for years. I just wrote a piece on helicopter aviation, and particularly how we can, in the alliance, can help support the Ukrainians. Really desire for peace in an end state, a political end state that lets them reestablish borders, patrol those borders. The Ukraine right now is dealing with it's almost as the Second World War is attempting to repeat itself, not necessarily politically, but when you look at how the Russians have fought that war with long tubed artillery, just rubblizing cities. The pictures of the cities could be from the 40s. I mean, it's incredible what they've done. Vladimir Putin has no political, has no ethical, moral, illegal ground left to stand on. This latest march by the Wagner Group on the capital should put a chill down the spine of every Russian to know that they are on shaky ground. It can fundamentally change the history of their nation, and they should understand it and embrace it. There has to be an end to this war. It's a war of aggression. It's a land grab. What can the U.S. do? I think we've danced around a lot of things we can do. Politically, we're highly engaged. We're clearly attempting to get the alliance to move closer to supporting the Ukrainians, which we have with artillery and other technologies. F-16s, of course, have been a big debate and topic piece, giving them really advanced fourth generation fighters to counter what would be Russian air superiority. So I think there's a lot we're doing. It's not for me to say we should do more. We have elected officials to do that. Mine are just opinions, but and we owe it to the alliance to support our allies.
You raised some excellent points.
That my only fear through this whole thing is, as you said, the Russian leadership seems like they will do anything, and I worry that this escalates into global destruction via nuclear arsenal.
Jeff, that's a great point. I think any despot, any tyrant, their number one job is to remain in power, is to stay in power. And whether it's the Iranians or the North Koreans that do all the saber rattling, I think that's the last great threat they have. And once they call it and we call them on it, they've lost it. I mean, it would change the face of the world. It changed the face of human history. I was listening to Admiral Stavridis a couple of days ago, and he was talking about how the Russians, their strategic forces are the most well-funded, they're the most well-trained strategic bomber forces and missile forces that they keep on right now on high alert. There has to be some adults left in Russia, there are, that understand the seriousness of this, that they are questioning everything that Vladimir Putin does, to say we need to put an end to this. There needs to be a political resolution. This has not worked. We've sacrificed almost an entire generation of our youth for this, and for what? For nothing. It's like working hard to get over a hurdle at the end of a road, and at the end of the road it says dead end. For them, there's no place for them to go. So the nuclear option is certainly just a scary thought, but I believe that that's bluff for them. Easy for me to say. I don't live in Poland. I don't live in Germany. I don't live in the Ukraine. But it's a serious consideration.
All right. Well, I want to get away from what Putin's doing and back to more of what you're doing. I've super producer Holly has let me know that you may have a new book coming to us. Can you tell us what that is and what we can expect there?
So the second book I'm writing is called Devil in the Triangle. It really picks up where Ghost of Baghdad ends. This book ends 25 plus or minus days later. The 10 or so of us that launched on the first night, by hook, by crook, and by the grace of God, we survive. And it's the 10 of us talking, in a tent in the middle of nowhere, north of Baghdad. But we noticed that we're in Baghdad. So from Baghdad north to Tikrit, out into the Al Anbar province is what forms the Sunni Triangle. And I would be out there the following year and in the following year after that. So this book picks up there, and it chronicles the next two deployments of what happened with the unit that I was with, and what we did, and how important it is, and how well, in my mind, how well we executed our mission, how well our troops and our Marines fared. But more importantly, again, is to tell the story of another group of people that are just as dedicated and just as heroic, just as motivated as the folks that we highlight and the folks that I talk about in Ghosts of Baghdad. Many of which are in the next book because it's a memoir and it's with me. So a lot of us would jump units and then we would roll right back into Iraq for the next 2 years.
This sounds like it could jump off the page and onto a screen. Maybe
Right? I was thinking about
the
that.
second season of something.
Jeff and Ashley, I think you're my two new favorite people. I like where you're going with that.
Yeah.
So if any alphas out there working at Netflix, HBO, or whatever it's called this week, what is it, Max? Yep.
Yeah.
Max, or any of these stations. I mean, Prime. I'm thinking of all the ones I subscribe to, so I don't have to subscribe to another. But I hope to see Ghosts of Baghdad and Devil in the Triangle on the screen. That would be amazing. And then we come back, or will you be too busy then?
I am never too busy for you. Are you absolutely kidding me? You and your audience are my people. So this is what I love to do.
Well, thanks so much. And I appreciate the public service you're doing to all Marines, because you're proving not only can we read, but you, sir, can write. And that's amazing. And I'm sure it's in print and not in Crayola scribble. So I appreciate that. And Ashley, have any final thoughts before we let him go back to conquering the world?
Oof, wow. I would just say thank you. I think it's an important and vital opportunity to share the stories of service, and particularly in the early onset of Baghdad, right? I think there's a lot of folks who are still trying to figure out how to tell that story. And we've been enduring this for 20 years, and we have all of these micro segmented events. But I do think that hopefully, you will inspire others to share their stories and their unique military experience, and help educate the public on what it is we do and how awesome we are, right? So I just want to say thank you for being an all-star and putting, the thoughts to paper. I think that's maybe one of the hardest parts that I guess any writer who's tackling that story and when to tell it and how to tell it. So appreciate you being on, and best of luck. I'm excited for your new book as well.
Thanks, Ashley. Appreciate that.
All right. I can't let you go without looking at the highlighted note over here on the other side of my screen, because Holly thinks I can't see things. So she's pushing it right up all up in my grill. So I don't want to forget this all comes from me, from my heart. Please let us know where our listeners can find your book or learn more about all that you're doing.
Thanks, Jeff. If you go to ericbuer.com, it will run you right on our website. You can order through my publisher is Ballast Books, and you can order from Ballast Books. You order from them, I'll sign it myself and send it to you. Otherwise, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target. You can order through any major any major provider of books. But go to ericbuer.com and you can learn more about what we're doing. That website's growing. We're trying to get more of our folks from the book on there, run their mini bios, and make it a place folks can come and feel comfortable looking up information.
All right, Alpha, that's Eric Buer, EricBuer.com. So go there, check out the book, wait for the new book. You heard about it. You heard about here. Wow, words. Didn't you say that earlier, Ashley?
Mhm.
You heard it. You
I
heard
did
about
again.
it here first, folks. Wow. And now I just set Marines back years.
So much progress lost. Eric's like,
All of Eric's progress. And I
Work,
just brought
Jeff.
us back down. Thank you so much for being here. Alphas, go out there and check them out at ericbuer.com and pick up the book, read some words, and learn about something that may be familiar to you if you served there, but from a different perspective. And because perspectives are important, and perspectives create community and help us all to understand each other a little bit better. I'm going to go brush up on my words right now, but we're going to be back to talk about Eric without Eric after you have your break.
American values and patriotism. The American Legion advocates for upholding and defending the United States Constitution, equal justice and opportunity for everyone, and discrimination against no one, youth education, responsible citizenship, and honoring military service by observing and participating in patriotic and memorial events. We are veterans strengthening America. We are the American Legion.
All right, we are back from the break. Colonel Buer, any takeaways?
first off, we have to acknowledge the elephant in the room. His nickname, fantastic.
Okay.
Second, I love that he has been able to not only be inspired, but translate his story into this at-large experience. I think it's just really hard sometimes. People kind of glaze over the experience, but committing pen to paper and getting it done and expanding what is the paradigm of veteran experience is really important. So I give him a lot of kudos for doing that. And then also second book coming out. Fantastic. We need a book club. Super producer Holly, you know what we need? We actually need a book club.
I don't know.
That would be cool.
I don't know who said that maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Be a good idea.
If they do it now, I'm going to be really upset because nobody listened when I said it. Anyway, so Eric has done a lot. He's taken that experience and brought across some very important themes of resilience, team, and humility. He very, very clearly stated it's not his story. And he went to people who were with him. He didn't be like, I'm the author and how I remember it is how it's going to be written. He actually consulted with people that were there with him on his team and came out with a product that he should be proud of, and he is proud of it because he's doing another one. I would go through my life with writing one saying I am an author because that's what I am, and he's still going. It's amazing. I would have quit and rested on my laurels. All right, because I'm lazy. And if the money was coming in, it'd make me more lazy. All right, Ash. I don't know if you remember one of my favorite parts. That's Holly's favorite part. Me blowing the smoke off the hot gun that has not been fired. That's amazing. But now it is time for your weekly enjoyment of Rapid Fire, America Birthday Edition. All right. I took this one from one of our friends, Courtney Steffen, South Dakota Department Commander. I took this from her page, and this is about a better education story than the one we started. This is 100% tuition reimbursement coming for SDNG members. This is from South Dakota State University. This is written by one of the universities. The new state benefit is paid after applying members' federal tuition benefit, and the total federal and state benefit may not exceed 100% of the tuition cost. Students utilizing the benefits must pass with a C or better in their classes, or the money is recouped. The previous state tuition assistance for National Guard members attending an SBOR institution was 50%. We have a workshop that we provide every summer to help out anyone and everyone who wants to come from the National Guard who is coming to school, to help them file for their federal tuition assistance or state tuition assistance. SDSU Director of Veterans Affairs, Russ Chavez said. This helps us as a state. If we can keep students from heading out of state because the National Guard gives 100% tuition reimbursement, that's a win, Chavez said. The increased coverage will provide another incentive for recruitment and retention in the Guard, Noem said during the bill signing in March. Outstanding or what?
Absolutely. I love when states decide they're going to get on board with 100% tuition for National Guard folks. I think it's a great retention tool and incentive for high schoolers who are looking to go to college without all of the college debt, who want job skill training, and will also, because I don't know if you can tell, I'm very biased. I was a National Guard gal. So, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and you still have all the community and connection, but you get an amazing training opportunity and get your education paid for. I love it. I'm super excited about this.
I think for the state, though, it's kudos on them for helping out some people. But
recognize.
But again, always follow the money. They're worried about the brain drain, people leaving the state and things like that. There's nothing, so they can help, because it says right here, people are going to other states that provide these kind of benefits. So South Dakota's stepping up to keep those kids there. They still have winter though.
Yeah.
I love Michigan, but this brain drained all the way to the West Coast. Where it's warm when I'm sitting here in shorts.
It's warmer in DC, Virginia, and yeah, I understand. I get it. I emphasize. Wow, really, today is a word.
Yeah, empathize. Say it.
Empathize. But yeah.
All right. So, going from the younger students to our more seasoned veterans, Arkansas veterans bring home medals from Golden Age Games. This is from VA News. I feel like, by the way, I should have found this in Legiontown. I'm just saying it. Arkansas. I should have read about this. Anyway, the Razorback team representing VA of the Ozarks in Fayetteville, Arkansas, recently competed in the 2023 National Veterans Golden Age Games and brought home a pile of medals. In the spirit of the Olympic style games, 19 Ozark veterans diligently trained every week for the past year with their coaches, Bradley Anderson, an occupational therapist, and Jamie May, peer support specialist. The hard work paid off with 10 gold medals, 14 silver medals, 7 bronze medals, and 13th, 4th, or 5th place ribbons. Many veterans first learned about the National Golden Age Games when Fayetteville VA hosted the competition in 2014. Back then, the events included air rifle, bowling, cycling, field, which was discus, shot, and javelin, golf, horseshoe, mind sports. That would be interesting in the real Olympics, which is checkers and dominoes. 9-ball. Is that billiards? 9-ball? Yep.
I think so.
Shuffleboard, swimming, table tennis, and track. Since then, the categories have added, oh no, pickleball, cornhole, and disc golf.
Okay. All right.
The National Golden Age Games focus on the health and well-being of veterans 55 and older, promoting the importance of continued exercise. The competition encourages athletes to participate in physical activity and athletic events in their home community. The VA said cornhole. I'm just going to point that out. And disc golf. disc golf got me into close to altercations in college. Those guys would smack a car and act like it was your fault for parking legally. So yeah, I'm glad to see that it has a course now, hopefully away from the parking lot at the veteran game, at the, what is it? The Golden Age Games. Wow. If you think about it, 55, Tom Brady's he can almost participate if he was a veteran. Just saying. He's getting up there.
31. That's the first thing you go to.
Huh?
Okay. All right. Making Mark Seavey proud. In
What do you
spirit.
think? What do you think? You're going to be training until you get there?
You know, I'm going to consider it. Maybe like swimming, or I don't know. I'd have to relook at my events and also my abilities at that time. You know, it's going to have to be monitored for the next few decades until I get to that point.
Well, pickleball. You got
Pickleball.
That's
I've only
taking
played
over the
pickleball
country.
a few times, respectfully, and it's okay. It's not my
Wait, you
cup of
played
tea.
pickleball?
Yeah, I play
We're gonna have
pickleball.
to talk about that on a later time.
Later event.
That's just crazy.
But yeah, the National Veteran Golden Games are really unique. They're centered around the whole health concept for the veterans aging. And there are a lot of national rehabilitation events that the VA puts on. For example, like Sports for Vets Throwdown. There's the National Veterans Creative Arts Festival. There's Golden Age Games. There's National Veterans Summer Sports Clinic. There's National Disabled Veterans Winter Sports Clinic. There is the National Veterans Wheelchair Games, and then the National Disabled Veterans Golf Clinic. And next year's Golden Age Games are going to be in Salt Lake City, Utah in August.
You said that like it's your hometown.
First of all, I'm well informed, and also the website, if you're interested in adaptive sports and arts at the VA, I highly recommend you check it out, because there's a lot of great programs and resources for us as we age and use VA care. And there's grant programs too, and there's monthly training allowance associated with veterans with disabilities training for Paralympic and Olympic sports, for example. Like, there's so many cool things. Like, I just encourage people to check out the VA website, and like, if you're participating in adaptive sports and therapeutic arts, like, really, like, check it out, like 110%.
Or just
I'm not
follow the
biased
show
or
notes.
anything.
Or
Just follow the show notes.
Follow the show notes.
Yep.
'cause
Yep.
This is rapid fire.
Yeah.
All right. This last one is near and dear to my heart. Comes from military.com. There's new movies coming out. It's Marine Corps veteran Rob McCall fights the entire Sicilian Mafia in the Equalizer 3. My only problem with this film so far is the name. It should be called Fair Fight. One Marine, the entire Sicilian Mafia. Fair Fight. What do you have to say?
Will there be food is the better question. Nobody can see my hand gesture right now. Will there be food?
Well, they're not
Very
going. They're not
important.
going to make it. They're not going to make it to dinner if they're fighting a Marine. Semper Fi.
Oh, wow. Real confident.
Oh yeah, and if they need to, remember the Punisher. His only superpower is
A Marine.
United States. He's a United States Marine. That's all I'm saying. All right, do you have any shout outs?
So we recently mentioned the lovely Courtney Stefan, Stefan, right? Or Stefan. I always never know. Stefan. Anyway, Courtney, fantastic job. Way to represent out in South Dakota. I know that she is out there trailblazing. She's the first or second woman to ever hold her chair and seat, and she's doing amazing things. I just want to give her mad kudos. Had an opportunity to ruck alongside her when we were in Boston, and she is an amazing human being. And I just want to say thanks for being awesome, girl. Lead the way. A little tear in my eye.
I don't know what.
So proud.
And she's the photo. I don't know what Holly was. The face of the Legion. You'll see her.
Yes.
If you don't recognize her, just look on the cover of legion.org on any given day. and they will have used one of her pictures. I wonder if that's a campaign advantage.
No, probably not.
Holly got nervous when I said that because they can't participate in any shenanigans like that. I don't have a shout out to. I do. Well, here's something on with regard to the whole health. We have some. There are resolutions headed their way to national that I hope get on a committee and see the floor. There's some on mental health. There's one actually on whole health and partnering with the VA. So I want to see those things get their due consideration. I won't pitch that everyone should just pass everything because I say so. That's perfect world scenario, but I do hope that they get their due consideration because Be the One is so important to the organization. So I'm shouting out resolutions. They're not even people. Wow. People working on them though, and great job and all that. And we will hopefully see those in Charlotte. And also congrats to Ms. Courtney Steffen. I will echo that with you and everybody else around the country who is running and doing things and getting things done. We just need more and more of you. We just happen to personally know this one. All right. Ashley, take us home.
Okay. All right. So do not forget to subscribe to the Tango Alpha Lima podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are consuming your podcasts. Please leave us a review and give us a big old 5-star rating so that the world knows how much you love us, and particularly Jeff. He's very happy about, everything. So, we're doing great. Anyway, if you do have a guest recommendation, go to legion.org/Tango Alpha Lima and click on the suggest a guest link. We look forward to hearing from you, and go on, Jeff, do your thing.
All right, America, it's your birthday, and you have been the biggest gift to us on this day, and we are Americans, so yes, we deserve it. I want you to go out there and do American things. Eat something that was put on a grill. I don't know what. I wish Holly would turn on her camera right now.
She's doing a thing right now. I'm trying to keep it.
She's doing something that I cannot describe, but it is very, very distracting, and I kind of love it. So as I was saying, do these things: grill some meats, have a carbonated beverage of any degree of alcoholic content, including none. You can go down to none. Do all of these things and hug a stranger. Do a side hug so you don't get in trouble, but hug a stranger and say, happy birthday, you gosh darn American you. And with that, I'm going to say, season 4, episode 166, mission